Good evening, everyone, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are and when you're watching this. Welcome back, everyone. We are going to dive back in more coding stuff on Velopack's backend. I have a bunch of API stuff. Had a chat with my partner earlier today, and there's stuff we need to get done. So that's where we're going. I thanked him for bringing me free content. So, a couple things though. First, let's see. Let's go like this. Boom. So Microsoft Build. It is coming up in the not too distant future. More importantly, I will be there. But if you are unable to attend in person due to the slightly high cost of attending, you can sign up for the virtual experience and get access to nearly all of the content, at least the sessions, for free online to be able to go through and watch that. So, at a minimum, I always tell people sign up, if nothing else, just to get access to the sessions and the recording. It's great content. It is going to be amazing. For anyone who's going to be in person, let's see. I think I saw. Didn't they have yeah, here. So if we go maps, if anyone wants to find me, this expert meetup area, I'm going to be somewhere in, I don't know, about that area the vast majority of the time. So, yeah, find me in that zone. So somewhere between Theater B and the Code for Good in the expert meetup area, I will be in that vicinity. So, would love to meet up with people, and I have Velopack stickers. So, if anyone wants a Velopack sticker, I will be around. I have lots. Please come talk to me. Okay, next thing. Hero devs. This is something I've only kind of briefly mentioned once or twice. They offer what they call never ending support, NES. I'm an old Nintendo player, so I see NES and I get a very different picture in my head, but that's okay. But the idea here is they offer patching support specifically for like CVEs and security vulnerabilities for out of support frameworks. And they do have .NET, but I believe at present it's just .NET 6. Now, obviously, in most cases, the correct thing to do is update to a supported framework if you can. But practically in the real world, you either don't have time or there's other constraints that make this difficult. So if you are at all interested in a solution that doesn't involve needing to be a migration, they aim to come in at a much lower cost than having to do a full migration. And then you can keep running on your old stuff. It's, again, worth noting that ideally, if you can upgrade, that's probably best because this is like stabilizing a dying product, not like breathing new life into it. So if you can get yourself off of that, that's better. And at some point, I need to update my little link because I do have an affiliate link with them because I'm now an affiliate. So yay! But yeah, so they are fairly cool guys and gals, I guess. I've chatted with several of them now at this point and met up with them and even got a cool little pocket watch, which was kind of slick. With the justification being that they give you more time. All right, like if you need more time before you can actually do a proper migration, that is what they offer. Okay, Velopack. Now I think some people have heard me mention this name a few times. I'm one of the founders. Yada yada. Velopack is, we'll call it a next gen installer updater. It is currently built with a lot of .NET stuff, but it is not .NET specific. We have support for, say, Electron, and I'm trying to remember all of the. I really should just memorize this table, right? C#, Rust, JavaScript, C++, and then plans for more other languages and frameworks as things are coming. And in our sample apps, we've got quite a few kind of demonstrating some different use cases depending on what you are interested in doing. But today, what we are looking at is fixing a handful of things. We are very close to having our backend thing launched. So just to be clear, the installer updater framework, free, open source. You can hit up to GitHub, go try it out. I will say there's been a number of people who have logged or have run into problems on the current release, which is 1053. If you go to grab it, grab the preview NuGet package. There's just a couple bugs that we've fixed that have bitten a few people. Like if you're using Gitia or Jitia, I don't know how to say it, as like an upload source, there's a bug in there where it doesn't reflect, or it doesn't, the VPK tool doesn't respect the the merge flag. So there's just a handful of kind of those edge cases that people bump into. So if you have any problems, grab the latest preview package. A lot of those things are fixed. We're about to roll another full release package here shortly. We're just working on getting that MSI support that we did previously merged in. So once that goes in, you can expect that there's going to be another full release kind of rolling out the door very quickly thereafter, possibly before the end of this stream. Sorry, I'm doing date math in my head to figure out when Kaylin wakes up. So we'll see. It's going to be happening imminently. But yeah, okay. So there's that. Now, the part that we're working on is not part of that. We, as part of Velopack, because like the installer and the updater are great, but then the next thing goes, okay, well, where do you host that stuff? Right? How do you deal with all of the things that go along with that? Because the tooling will push it up to say GitHub releases if that's where you want to host it or similar. I think we support, I don't know, 4 or 5 different kind of places that people will commonly push to, like an S3 bucket or similar. But if you want a fully hosted solution, something managed where you don't have to think, that is what we are working on. That is what is forthcoming. So that is where we get Velopack Flow. Yay, Flow. Flow is happy. But this is also where we have our paid tier stuff, right? So if you want to host it yourself, you want to roll with that, have at it, right? More the merrier. If you want somebody else to manage it, throw us a couple bones. We'll manage the stuff for you. There's going to be a handful of things that we put out here on Flow that are going to start to be Flow specific, because when we control the back end, we can make a lot of assumptions and do a lot of extra stuff for you. So the other stuff is there for pushing. Like if you're going to manage it, great. People who have like an on-prem solution or whatever, right? Have at it. Like this is probably not for you yet, but this is going to be where we end up landing. So, but I have this thing. So I have an account of my own, and normally under this account we would see some billing plans and whatnot, but we have this. This is not good. And this, I started looking at it previously, and I'm fairly confident I have a decent idea of what's going wrong here. But the idea is that, well, if we just F12 this guy, right, and we fling, right, if we go through and do this, right, we can see this call here where we're pulling back payments based upon this ID is giving back a 404. No bueno. And I'm fairly confident this is because I have set this account up with a custom plan, right? I designed the back end, even though there's kind of like the built-in pricing models, I left it open to where I could go through and toggle some switches and put people on these custom plans, because it's like, you know what, if an enterprise or something comes to us and says, hey, we want this, we want to pay you X number of dollars and we want Y, great, right? I want to be able to fob the switches and make those numbers appear. So that is where we're going, and then we're probably going to spend a little time updating this page because the actual display of this I think is dated and wrong. We're going to try to fix all of that if we can. That's the goal. That's where we're going. So, okay. And then I'm going to grab this. I'm going to bring this guy over here, and then we're going to open this sucker up. So, my apologies. This repository is not open source. But as the owner of it, I grant my permission to use it on stream. Okay, now that we've covered that. But if anybody is interested, like this is, okay, quick side detour. I absolutely love .NET Aspire. .NET Aspire, mwah, lovely, wonderful, happy place. If you have not looked up .NET Aspire, this is... that is not .NET Aspire. This is .NET Aspire. All right. This is the happy place. This is where we want to be. Because .NET Aspire, we are not even compiling. I just need to put a value in here real quick. Date, time, offset, max value. Great. That probably should be min value or something else. But .NET Aspire gives you a lot of orchestration around building this up. So this entire back end isn't just like a single web API, right? You can see there's a bunch of projects in here. I have some background processing stuff. There's databases, there's storage accounts. There's lots of moving parts that go along with this, right? And so this guy fires up, and then I realize that I don't have my Docker host running, which is why these things are going to say unhealthy, because my database and Azurite are both launching as containers, and you cannot launch them as containers if your Docker host is not running. You should absolutely start your Docker host before attempting to run .NET Aspire, depending on what you're launching, right? You saw some of the stuff fired up just fine, because some of my services I'm hosting outside of containers, some of them I have inside containers, just based upon what I felt made my life easiest. Because in an ideal situation, I like being able to clone a repo, hit F5, and get something like this, right? So you can see Azurite came up. SQL is thinking about itself and will probably come up here in a moment. Probably going to take itself a hot minute to get itself all updated and running. Some images take a little while. I'm watching it spin on my other monitor. So while it thinks about it, but like we can get pretty graphs and say, okay, if we want to talk about what all is going on inside of here, this is it, right? The Stripe webhook, I haven't figured out how to control this graph well enough. Technically, there should be a line from here to the API, because that's what it does when you want to run Stripe locally, but okay, great. Anyway, so if we go back to our resources, there we go, got everything up. Payment processor finished. Errors. What are the errors? Oh, yeah. This is going to be an interesting problem that I haven't quite figured out a good way of solving. Because when I run locally, I am running against a Stripe sandbox. So if we see things like this, don't worry, these are not the production, like Stripe subscription IDs. These are sandboxed ones. But because I dev on more than one machine, or if I blow my local database away, it means I end up in a situation where things don't quite. So, this thing's doing the right thing. Like it's saying, hey, by the way, this team for this subscription is not found in the database. Well, that's pretty conclusive. It's not in the database, probably because it exists out in my Stripe sandbox, but doesn't exist in my local database. So, huzzah. Okay, front end. Okay, I want to see if, because what I would like to do is get myself back into a similar situation in my local database as what I have remotely. And then there's also an endpoint that is dog slow that we might need to go through and do this. Okay, so I've got a nothing here. So, but let's go here. If I go to Teams and I go billing. Okay, so now we're just blowing up straight up. So that's exciting. All right, so what's null here? Subscription is null. So null.created at is bad. So yeah, so this is the endpoint that is breaking. So if we look briefly before my changes here, all right, so if we just kind of gander over on, let's just stash and check out main real quick. If we look at main on this file, what I'm fairly confident is happening. So this is the endpoint that's being hit with that GUID. So the GUID in question is the team identifier, which is fine. Like it's building up all of this stuff, but then we get into this situation where it is 404ing, either because there's no subscription lining up, which is a distinct possibility. Because this is a custom plan, there isn't going to be a record from Stripe in it. Right? Like that's one of the weird things with this is it's very possible it's breaking there, but it's also possible that there is no upcoming invoice coming back from Stripe either. So both of those are possible because it's not like this is a real plan. It's a custom one that I just slapped in. So in both of these cases, they're returning a not found, but I don't think either is accurate. I think what we actually want to do is build up one of these payment details guys and return it always and get rid of this not found response. So for people unfamiliar with this setup, this is what is called .NET Minimal APIs. So in this case, I have mapped B, in this case, 1/payments/team identifier to get payment details. That's functionally how this ends up going through and doing, and then we get this guy here. Okay, that's where we're at. Let's go forward, because you can see handle payment 404. I don't know what was my pending change here. Oh yeah, the thing to make it actually compile. Right, so this is where we are currently at, and if I paid attention to my obnoxious analyzer, I know that subscription can easily come through here as null. So in this case, what we need to do is make sure that in the null case, so there are no active subscriptions. I think if there are no active subscriptions, I almost want to get the latest inactive one. I think is almost what I want to display instead. Let's see. Because I'm just thinking if somebody subscribes, unsubscribes, comes back a year later, subscribes, unsubscribes, and then views this page, what probably makes the most sense is to show them the information from their last subscribe, unsubscribe, I think. Probably what makes the most sense. Because this is with active subscriptions. What is the query here? Yeah, so this is intentionally doing this. And I think what we do is we just get rid of this. And I think we just do an order by. Let's see, order by descending X. No, that's not how you do a lambda, you moron. Order by ending. And then I think first or default async. And you can actually just do subscription equals in this case. And then if this is the case here, I think what's important is that this becomes nullable because start and end are both nullable, which makes this much easier. I don't know if I need this empty anymore. It's unused. That was something I was contemplating adding, and I don't think it's necessary. So we'll do a question mark there, which then the compiler jumps to the very next one and goes, well, you moron. Okay, so that gets me into there. And then this gets me all the way to here. So I would like to set this thing up. And the other nice part about this project that I absolutely love is I have reasonably good test coverage. And I love my test coverage, and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Okay. So we have, well, let's run the current test first. I'm sure I've broken a handful of these. And then we'll figure out what needs to adjust here. Because most of these endpoints are fairly simple and straightforward. Yeah, so not surprisingly, we've broken a handful of things. Okay. Yeah, so this one was specifically looking and expecting a not found. We have gotten rid of this. So I don't think we delete the test. Without subscriptions, returns, I think, empty response. So I think the key thing here is we want this to still give us back payment details, but I need it to give back useful payment details. Let's see here. We're going to just put some bangs in. Make that guy shut up for a moment. Oh, I actually wanted that whole line, didn't I? Yep. So rather than that, we're going to do that because we always expect to get back a full response. In this case, we've set up a team. We've gotten rid of all of their subscriptions. So this is the case where they just don't exist. And then, much as I hate doing this, at some point I want to kill off my fluent assertions usage, but that is a different story. Okay, so next bill should be null, would be what I would expect in this case. Next bill amount. This is another should be null. Be null. That gets rid of that. Subscription start should be null. And we do need to go and add subscription end to the other one, and payment card. There's another one that should also be null. Okay, so that gets us to there. That gets us to there. Oh, let's handle the end. Let me just check real quick on the diff. Yeah, so subscription end being added, and then a handful of things going nullable are the only changes. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Oh, it's visible. I think those are the only two interesting changes there. Okay, so that goes like that. That goes there. Don't think we need the bang on that. Oh, we do. Do. Okay, and so description end should be after. Okay. Let's make sure we haven't botched this too badly. Because that is the nice part, is if all of my tests pass, I just ship. Because I have a high degree of confidence that this thing is working. Okay, so that one failed. Let's see if this one passes, because this one should now be in a working state. Clearly we did something wrong. Okay. So this is working, and then we need one more to handle the other case that we did. But let's look at the one that now is failing. Let's see, expected subscription end, which is, but it was null. So subscription end didn't get properly set. Oh. Active subscriptions don't have an end date. Right. So that is, should be after. There's not an or. No, there's not an or. I guess we'll just do be null. I ideally what I'd like to do is write this assertion such that this test passes if it's null or after the current one, because either one is valid. Because one of the traps people fall into is they write their tests hyper specific towards the code that they're testing, whereas I only care about if I'm getting payment details for an existing subscription, what is a valid return. Do not care about the implementation. I care only about what is the business level requirement for that. And I'm going to leave a note here. After UTC now is also valid. That way when I convert this over, I pick that up. Okay. So the other case that is not being handled here, so we've got with existing, without subscription. Now we need with expired subscription. So that's now a thing that we need to add in. With expired subscription. And I don't want to say returns empty response, returns subscription details. All right, so this guy here, so this when it does create team, what does this do? Why did I feel the urge on create team to Stripe subscriptions clear? It's not like they get added to. That must have just been me being paranoid. Okay, team Stripe subscriptions dot add, and we need to create Stripe subscription. And then I guess the question is, what does this guy do here? is null for an active subscription. Yeah. So this is getting me an active subscription, and I want to have it not be active. So we are going to pull this out. Var subscription. We will do that. And var is probably a bad choice here. Use explicit type. And then pass subscription. But in this case, what we want to do is pass subscription end gets pass subscription start. You're so close, Copilot. Add days 1. So the very, very short subscription. Okay. Is there anything else that needs to be set to make this accurate? Nope. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, so in this case, fix my spelling mistake here. The expectation, so subscription start should be before, let's see, date, time, offset, UTC now, right? And date, time, end should be also before date, time, UTC now, and should, what? Oh, and be after payment details. My head is in the way. Hang on. There we go. Let's see. So should be before now, but after start. Any of those are valid. Oh, shut up. Shut up. Will you accept a nullable here? Or are you going to be picky? You're going to be picky. Okay, fine. Wasn't sure if it was overloaded for nullable. Okay, payment card should still be null. Next bill amount should be null. All of those things should be fine. Okay, so let's run this. Now we should get non-404 page. Fail. What of my assumption? Expected payment card to be after, but it was what? I'm not expecting anything about the payment card. I expect payment card should be null. Am I missing something? Let's see. Payment details payment card to be. Something doesn't make sense. Line 230. Am I just misreading this? Okay. Am I an idiot? Expected payment details payment card to be after. Okay. We're going to just rebuild because I think it has lost its mind. Because that's clearly pointed at subscription end. I'm wondering if it just lost mind in here somewhere. Okay. Try that. Let's try that one more time. Hey, look at that. Expected subscription end to be after 5/2, but was 4/26. Let's see here. Be before now and after. So it's this bit that failed. We expected it to be Why does it think start is on 5.2? That's like now. Okay, well, let's look at this because I've clearly done something wrong. Oh, is this it here? Yeah, I did created at, not start. That is incorrect. See, this is why we write tests. This is why we write tests, because that would have been a bug. There we go. Now we're green. Okay. Show, that gets us to there. Now, let me look here. I want to deal with. We should have. Let me do this. Analyze code coverage because I want to look at what has been missed so far. And then yeah, code coverage is going to be trash, but I only care about one specific class, so I don't really care about most of it. So I just want to look at I'm not picking this up. API service payments v1. Oh, I'm in the wrong namespace. API service. Why are these ones separated? Just wondering if I typoed something somewhere. I don't see it if I did. Okay. And then we are interested in get payment details. Okay, good. So we've gotten key thing here for in case it's not obvious. This, all of the blue things are lines that were executed. Now, code coverage is a bad metric to know when you're done, right? Because just because one of these sections is blue does not mean it's tested. It means it was executed as part of a test. Does not make it tested. You have to examine the test to know if it's actually tested. But this section here, I know is not tested because it was not executed. So this is the other one that needs to be handled. So it's interesting to me that this line shows covered with this one not. That's shocking. Merry Christmas, Izzy. We are web APIing some stuff in Velopack. So at present we are fixing a payment details endpoint so that Velopack reports it back properly. And I do not have this handled properly. So we need to, okay, so code coverage, what we do here is we go away and die. Yeah. And then we need more test. So specifically what I would like to test, because down here, this is where I discovered with the new Stripe API that, what do they call it? There's a word Stripe has where you may not have card information if the user didn't pay with a card. Now, we only have a handful of payment options turned on, but Stripe has a built-in one where it's like, it's almost like OAuth for credit cards, which is kind of cool because it means that the merchant doesn't see your card, but you still get to pay, and they just facilitate the middle, which is nice. But it means that when I query the API to say, hey, show the user the last 4 digits of their card, well, there is no card there, so I can't actually show anything. So we just default to show the payment method and go, I don't know. Like, that's all I can do. Who listens to those code coverage metrics these days? No. You missed it, Izzy. Just before you dropped in, I had said Like only the negative half of the code coverage metrics are useful. So everything that's red that wasn't executed, that's where I need to write tests, which is functionally this little bit here. And so I just need to set this guy up with, I don't know that I ever set this thing. Yeah, I didn't ever set up anything on this query here as well, because this service is really a leaky abstraction. So the objects that are, and by leaky abstraction, what I mean is the objects returned out of this Stripe service interface. This is literally just here as a very thin wrapper so that I can write tests without actually hitting Stripe. Right? Integration tests will hit the test sandbox on Stripe to verify things work, but for purposes of unit testing, and I use the word loosely here, this is just here as a seam in the code to be able to go through and do it. And by leaky abstraction, what I mean is when you return back a concrete Stripe subscription, it means I haven't actually like isolated Stripe from the rest of my code base. Anybody using this interface is still going to have a using Stripe in that section of the code, and is still going to be using strongly typed Stripe objects. Right? Now, leaky abstraction can be bad, but part of the fun is knowing when to violate the coding guidelines. As a very famous pirate once said, what it would, oh shoot, now I'm going to mess it up. Shoot, something about guidelines and rules. Who listens, man? My auto incorrect is trying to be on point today. Seamus still seems to be half asleep. Oh, that's awesome, Izzy. That is awesome. Okay, so let's go here. Without upcoming invoice. Actually, why did my first one not show an upcoming invoice setup? This is coming back with information. How is this one getting back? Did I, huh? This worked. How did this come? Okay, I got to look at what the response was here. How did this come back with like next bill amount if like upcoming invoice should have been null? That's clearly not null, and it looks a heck of a lot like the fact that the value is 42 seems like Kevin put in a fake response. But where did past Kevin do that? Put a breakpoint in the endpoint and just grab it there. Where did I do that? Because I don't see a setup for setting the upcoming invoice. Oh, I wonder if I have a simulator that just hard codes a response. That would be potentially dumb. All right, so we got a subscription. That returned a value. Oh, look at that. Look at that. I don't know if anybody could see it. I saw the word simulator in the, hard to see. Simulator right there. Dang it, I shot myself in the foot. That's what I did. Okay, let's go spelunking. Get upcoming invoice. Well, doesn't that just bite? So the short version, so rather than, so this is, I guess, kind of a weird statement to make, but I'll go through and make it. It is often advantageous to not use mocks. Because when you use a mock, you're only as good as the setups that you put on it. And quite often, unless you do some extra work, those setups are only being reused on that one test. And so if you spend time getting a mock working properly, it can be better to just write an actual a second implementation of your interface and use it inside your test, which is what this guy is doing here. This one is fairly loose, but it has some sort of plans by ID to be able to link things through, pull it out. And I think this is really what I just need to do. I think what I want to do here is change this sucker up so that I can actually control him a little better. Because at the end of the day, where this is coming from is this web application factory. This guy here has a lot of setups, and I'm sure one of these is going to be setting up that lovely little guy there. I'm looking for him. I'm sure he is around here somewhere on one of these setups. Service descriptor. Just hunt this guy out. There's only 3 references. He couldn't have gotten far. There we go. Web application factory, configure host, add singleton, simulator, Stripe service. So there's the guy. There is the guy. Okay, so back in the test, what we want to do, we want to come back here. So this is fine. This is working as designed. See, I just finished building my test simulators using Raspberry Pi and finally found out the reason our previous tests were failing. Ah, was it because the previous tests had an implementation of an interface or some other seam that was not behaving like the real one? Let's see. And it had nothing to do with what I thought it was. Now the simulator box could not have been built. Really? That is interesting. Like, it always fascinates me. Like, I actually really enjoy when I get a bug report and I'm able to track it down just from the report by like figuring out how to almost like mold the system into the failure case. I find that rather fun. It's fun when you can solve it. It's frustrating when you can't. Or it behaves in a weird way and just doesn't do things consistently, and then you just pull your hair out and then you become bald. It was pretending to be the real device 100% correctly. That sounds like a good simulator, Izzy. I'm guessing you expected, yeah, I'm going to go with that. The expectation was not that. And that was the problem. Interesting. Let's see, factory, and then I think I want to do, how do I get my services back out? There are local storage, remove test logger, services. That's what I would like. Get required service. And then I would like the simulators dot, no, that one. That is what I would like. Okay. What? Oh, interesting. I've got 2 simulator namespaces and they're colliding with each other. That is lovely. That is absolutely lovely. We're going to alias it because there's not conflicting types in there. Let's see. 2 interfaces were trying to be the same IP address, so only one of them ever worked until rebooted. Oh, that's dirty. I like that. That's a good one. That is a very good one. So what was the I guess trigger then where you finally realized that was what was happening? Was it just an aha moment, or did you end up like catching an issue where it's like 2 things tried to bind to the same address? Let's see here. Stripe service. Okay, and then I want to do something like Stripe service, set up subscription. And I think that's really all I want to do is I just want to have some way to tell the service, hey, here's the subscription that I want to set up. Okay, because, and then I think I want to just pull data, Stripe subscription. And we'll just do that. And I think we're just going to do this one over here, this. Because this will go through, that'll pull that back out, and then I guess the question is, what do we want to do? We want to set this. So one of the things I often enjoy doing is writing the API that I want, and then I'll go actually implement it. I'm just trying to decide what I want here. Because I want to set this thing up without an upcoming invoice. So I kind of want to change the service so it doesn't just blindly return back a new upcoming invoice every time. And instead, it requires someone to do this sort of setup. And method. I think that's probably okay. Right? So inside of here, we're going to give ourselves another dictionary, I guess. Let's see. Private dictionary. Let's use subscription. This is now where we can start actually giving ourselves nice APIs to play with. Okay, so down here, get active subscriptions. So this is just going to be return subscriptions dot values. I guess what we can do is this. For each var subscription in, and then just yield return subscription, and then await task dot yield. What are you complaining about? Oh, we are in here. Let's see. It all worked on my machine, but I never had all the interface cables attached to a simulator box at the same time. Ended up doing that and used Wireshark to find the IP config part of the handshake was being returned on the wrong interface. Only took me 6 months to figure out I needed a test-specific IP address for each interface. Oh, dang. Let's see. This is async enumerable. What's your problem here? Oh. Just made it a task. Dang, Izzy. That's rough. That is rough. Though I will say it is always interesting being able to track that stuff down. Let's see. What are you trying to say? Pass this parameter named team ID, the message. That's, yeah. Team empty. Hate throwing a no argument, null exception when something's not null. Okay, so get upcoming invoice. And actually, I guess what we're going to do here is we're going to go with subscriptions. Hey, stop this. Come on. And we're just going to go subscription.id, subscription, call it a day. What is your problem? Is that nullable or something? Oh, it's a GUID. Interesting. Oh, because this is mine. So it's not actually ID, it's subscription ID that I want to feed it. But this is a Stripe subscription, not... Oh. Right, because I have to be able to go between my object and this Stripe one. Do I want to set up the Stripe one? Or do I want to set up mine? Probably both. Probably both. Let's see. Private, static, subscription to Stripe subscription. This is only going to become more interesting. Okay. So that'll get me to there. That'll get me to there. That API goes here. And now we can just return new subscription. Now the question is, what do we populate on here? All right, so what do we actually, oh, hang on. Was Copilot going to do it all for me? Oh, Copilot, you are freaking insane. That's remarkably good. That is remarkably good. Wow. See. Oh, good job. The hardware has issues and is 9 months delayed. Yeah, I did. You did a good job. I didn't say the project was good. I don't know anything about the project. Okay. So start at I am somewhat interested in my mapping going the other way to make sure that this simulator actually works properly. Because isn't there ended at? We want to do that. You do require a value. Canceled at should be nullable. We're not gonna set it unless it's set there. What else we got hanging out here? So flow plan ID, customer subscription has billing issues is a different property. Last modified created at concurrency key. Okay, so that is good. I don't know that I know enough to populate this items right here. We're just gonna whack this because we don't need it. So minimum viable for the moment. Let's see, and then this here we're just going to implement as a if subscriptions. Yeah, exactly what you said, Copilot. Thank you. Let's see. We gotta clarify what it is. It has no idea what it's doing. Okay. Gets me there. Oh, you probably want to collapse this, don't you? I don't know how much I like that, but whatever. We'll let it live. We'll let it live. I assume it wants to do the same thing here. Yeah. Oh, yuck. Okay, if you're gonna do it, at least do them consistently, Copilot. Don't make me beg. Okay, that gets there. That gets there. Okay, so get upcoming invoice is going to go with if descriptions. I think we can just do contains key. Yeah, I think we're just going to do contains key. So if it's and I guess we can do the opposite, right? So if we don't know about the subscription ID, feedback null, otherwise feedback real thing, bippity boppity booyah. Yeah. So now that means I've just broken some stuff because hopefully my first test that was working fails, and now my other one without upcoming invoice. Oh, actually, this isn't going to quite work right. This needs to not return an upcoming invoice if it is ended. So this actually needs to be a try get. So this is going to go down, bring you up, format, and everyone's happy. Okay. Makes it all nice and pretty, and it just works the way we want. Okay. Let's see. And subscription dot ended at is null or greater than date time offset UT now. Will you not let me get away with that? Oh, date time. You're probably not going to let me because it wants a constant. Ugh. Ended at is null or subscription ended at. I am not going to be a moron. Friends around that. Okay. So if there is no ended at, or the ended at is in the future, we will create an upcoming invoice. Now, there is a little bit of a disjoint in that this upcoming invoice, like if the ended at is in 3 minutes, this guy's doing a next payment attempt in 20 days, but that is okay. Okay, so that'll get us there. Let's run this. Okay. Surprised my other one passed because I don't think this is correct. I don't think this assertion is correct yet. Without upcoming invoice returns previous subscription details. Actually, because we copied from the other one, it is correct because the next bill amount should be null in this case. Okay. And then subscription start should be before. Yeah, so because of this, and actually, I guess setting up a subscription in the old case. So, okay, because we're about to break the other side. Okay. That I guess I'm okay with. Because right here, this is working. Like, this is one thing I've always wished for. I want something to do fuzz testing at some point where it kind of just tweaks your code and sees what breaks, right? Because my favorite thing is if I can delete a line of code from a test and the test still passes, how important was that line of code? So, yeah, so we're going to leave that there for a moment. Let's go fix the broken one, and then we'll come back and think about it. Have a good solid think on it. So this one here, and I'm going to give me the required service back out. So this guy here, get payment details with existing subscription, returns details. This is failing because it doesn't know anything about the subscription. And so here what I need to do is Stripe service, set up subscription, and I want to go with team Stripe subscription single. And this should now make this pass again. Now this is registered inside of the simulator. The simulator does the needful, and this guy should just work. There we go. So he now passes. Without subscription, we don't call it. Without expired subscription. I can't type. With expired subscription. Because if it is, because that's what we want to test. With expired subscription. And so I think I want to grab copy, copy. Come down here and we go paste. That line. Paste. Here we go. That should still be in a passing state. Yeah, I'm a little torn here. Little torn. But it does make it all work the way we expect. And now we have tests covering all the things. So that should solve our problem. Because this is the case that I believe we are hitting on my current prod one. So let's run this guy. Stage. Oh, we should rerun all the tests real quick because we just modified an underlying simulator. That could break a lot of things in a lot of places. Probably not in this case, given how few usages I saw of it. Because some of my stuff uses mocks to hide that away. So there's a real chance that a lot of it just isn't being exercised, but I want to see that thing go. So while that thing's going, we'll build this up. Auto code the message for me. Pretty please. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, stop it. You're in the way. Can't spell. Let's see. And no upcoming events. It now returns details if no active one is found, and there's no subscription data. Also introduce mock strike service. No, that is a lie. Bad AI. Other than that, you did pretty good. Thank you, AI. Let's see here. So what happened? So this is, what's that for a moment? We picked up an extra. We did not pick up. We dropped a 404 response on the payments API. That is expected. And then the change to the payment details is next bill amount is nullable. Payment card is now nullable. Subscription start is nullable, and subscription end is being added. Okay, good. I accept all of these changes. So this is the most obnoxious thing out there, but it means every API change I have to explicitly approve. So for better or worse, I don't accidentally release any APIs, or at least any public-facing API changes. And that's part of why we want to get this all working, because once I ship this, then I really can't make breaking API changes. Okay, so we're going to take that, stage, amend. Let's see, and then let's PR that beast. Oh, see, I was ready for you. Got him. Okay, let's see. Updating, get payment details. This fixes the endpoint not return 44 and instead returns empty data. Okay, send it. And then we're going to come here. Oh, looking too much. That auto merge squash, and off to the races. Okay, we're going to let that guy go for a moment. And then let's go have a little look-see at the front end while that guy's chugging. So the front end technically lives in a separate repository, partly because of deployment reasons and similar. But we're gonna take a look at this and see. Oh, monitor. Been here waiting for it. Okay, so if we go to my local front end, Where is it there? Code. I will say there is something I do want to look into how long some of these things take, because it feels excessive at times, and I don't fully understand why that load time is there. Okay, so if I go here, I go my teams, I click here, and I go billing. Right, so this surprised that this thing shows this. I thought I was gonna see more. Oh, this is the page here. Got it. Current plan, right? Upgrade. So these are ones that we want to change up, because this was just slapped in based upon what we initially thought. And these things are not actually accurate. So we're gonna fix those real quick. What pending changes do I have? Okay, so we've got some API stuff that we need to rev, but we'll change that in a little bit. Okay. Give me VS Code. Here we go, and VS Code be big, and close up all of this stuff. Okay, so what is the route we are on? So we are going to be on team/billing. So let's see here, team/billing. Okay, you go away. You're in my way. Now I just got to find my way through this, because I did not write this initially, so I just got to find it. Change payment, click or cancel plan, view past invoice, current plan selection, team billing, team project. Where is, oh, it must be down here. Yeah, there we go. Free Developer Pro. Free plan card that has the, there it is. There's the guy. Okay. So the actual limitations that exist. Oh, we're at a breakpoint, so we should let that go. Let's see here. So let's go look at the Stripe subscription, because I need to look at what. No, it's subscription plan actually has my. So we only have storage, bandwidth, users as the actual things that are implemented. So do we have max? We do have max projects, max users, channel and project redirection. That is not a thing. Hosted change logs and release notes, not really a thing. Publishing to third-party feeds, not a thing. Channel promotion approval, not a thing. And let's see, 10 gigs of release storage, and the retention, we do not have, like, we do not have any of that. We just have storage limits. Sorry, I'm going to move this guy to the side where I can keep him up and look at him. So what do we actually have here? So 10 gigs of release storage is good. 10 gigs. So we want to do 10 gigabytes of month. Let's see, and then we have, do not have a cap, because we talked about doing, you know, limiting the number of releases and all that stuff, and we kind of decided, nah, that's kind of dumb. Why am I keeping this stuff? We'll add it back in if we want it. Okay. So storage bandwidth. Oh. Download bandwidth. yeah. So we've got storage, and then we've got projects. Uh, 3 projects. 1 team member. Those are the 4 metrics we have. Yes. Okay. So now we go down to the developer plan. Developer plan is going to be, let's see, max storage. Do not have retention bits. Let's put the bandwidth next to the other one. Let's see, bandwidth is 50 gigs, 30 gigs of storage, 3 projects, 1 team member, none of the other stuff. So the big difference between free and dev is just more storage. And for anybody watching this, these numbers are somewhat subject to change. Right? These are where they currently sit, but we have a task on our go live board to review these numbers and see if there's anything that needs to be tweaked. They'll probably be in this vicinity. Like these numbers weren't just pulled out of a hat. We like actually did math and stuff and like tried to figure out, okay, what makes sense. So feedback welcome, but just know that we've figured this one out. And then let's see, Pro Plan card. And let's see, max 100 gigs. And then download bandwidth is 120. Retention policy, not a thing. Unlimited projects, unlimited team members. Don't have that. Don't have that. Don't have that. Don't have that. Okay. And then we want to do, let's see. So this is the custom one. But I think we want to make one for enterprise stuff. I think that's the last thing that we want is we want to say, if you're an enterprise, come talk to us. Have a sales email. I'm trying to think, do we have one? The support info. I'm trying to think if we've got anything else. I think info is kind of our generic one that just hits both of our boxes. Maybe we just do that. Yeah, we'll do something of that nature, I guess. Let's see. We don't want a custom plan card. I want to do something like this. I want to do something like this. Let's see. Enterprise, not the Starship Enterprise. That's different. Let's see. Enterprise plan card. And then I don't know that I want. I just noticed this member since. I'm just trying to read through this. This may come as a shock, but I don't do this every day. So why does that look wrong to me? Is that how you spell it? Is my spelling okay? Yeah, okay. I don't trust myself half the time. Let's see, member since. We have that. I don't know that I actually want this on this card. I think I want to scrap that. And then we have any prior art on what this should look like. All right, so that looks more like that. That looks more like that. I don't want to grab the purple border if I could. Theme palette primary main. Huh. I'll have to think about this. Let's see. Member since is no longer relevant. I don't know that action is even going to be relevant. Uh, uh, to your needs. Copilot, you're on point. Next time, fill in the mail too. I'm just going to grab this guy right here. And then I think we're just going to do that. That maybe. So if we come back here, oh, I created it, but I didn't apply it. Let's see. Let's see. I need a price plan card there. Then I need this guy here, this here, and then I want this to be enterprise plan card. I do not want there to be an action thingy mabobber. Just want you to sit there and look pretty. You know what? Let's actually change this up a little bit because I think what I want is handful of these. Unlimited projects, unlimited team members. Uh, custom limits. Options. How does that look? I think what we do is we get rid of this. That looks better to me. I wonder what we've got for color choices here, though. What do we got for color choices? Oh yeah, we got rid of action. We aren't using it. What's your problem here? What did I do wrong? What am I not understanding here? No overload matches this call, blah, blah, blah. Element null gave the following error. Property component is missing. Oh, plan card props. Oh, because I dropped it. I don't think I need it though, right? Okay, we're gonna do this because I clearly need to understand how this is working. And I don't fully understand how this is working. Okay. Ba-ba-bum. but I was going to look here. Themes palette. How do I see all of my theme stuff? Let's see here. This is the only place where the themes colors are being used. Primary, main. Or at least that's all the only thing that primary is being used for. Secondary, main. Just trying to, is there a tertiary or similar? Let's see, base theme, palette. Not a lot of options here. Because these we're using, let's see. We have primary, secondary, and then there's actually just a hard-coded one in for the free plan because there isn't a good option in there. Common colors. Black, white. Okay. Well, that is very, very common. You know what? We'll leave it. It's probably fine for now. What the? Okay. There is an issue with the spacing there. Why did I mess up? How did I get? Is it? Oh, is it literally that? Oh, it's because it's just the spacer. That's literally all it is. There's a spacer on one and on the okay. Okay. And so the other ones boom. These guys here, plan action button. What does this guy do? Don't really want to leverage that. Yeah, I'm wondering if it should have the button look to it or not. This feels wrong, but at the same time, yeah, we'll go like that. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. Okay, so let's go back here. And now I gotta separate some of the cruft here. Let's see, close you. Okay, so let's collapse you, components, plan card. Yep. And then I had one more. There we go. Updating plan cards to select current state of description plans. Send it. Send it. And then let's check on our release. That went out the door. Huzzah. I got decent line coverage, 88%. Makes me feel kind of good. Branch coverage, a little lacking, a little lacking. But like I dive into the details and I don't care. Like most of the stuff that's uncovered is stuff that I don't care about, or it's like, oh, that's test stuff. Yeah, JC, have you priced out giving the 10 gigs of free space? Yeah, so we actually have. And the storage is actually not what I'm somewhat worried about. And we still need to settle on exactly how much we're going to charge for each of the pricing plans. Part of it was we don't want our free tier to suck, right? Like both me and Kaylin are developers, and at the end of the day, like nobody wants a bad thing. Like I want to have something that I'm proud to show people and say, yeah, like go give the free tier a try, because the products that I use that have a decent free tier for people to like get a good handle on versus the ones that just it's like you hit the limitations immediately. Those always just feel bad. So, like 10 gigs of storage a month. Um, I think a single pro user. Yeah, and we may end up lowering it. Like but I need to go back to our spreadsheet. I think with a single pro user, if I think for every pro user, it can offset the cost of I think like 650 free tier users. So there may like, and maybe we start it lower and then bump it up if it's not if it's not being as bad. But it's something like that. I think one paying customer offsets don't get bad publicity. Yeah, and that's the thing is we may dial it down. That we do have because again, all of these numbers subject to change. We're going to go back over everything before we go live to say is this actually what we want to do? Um I just realized this has an X here. I don't think that's right, is it? Where'd my but yeah, but yeah, so it is absolutely a thing on our radar of this may be a little much because I'm just looking at like the apps that I want to host on here. Like the material design demo app. That's one that I plan on hosting here and I would like to put it on a free tier, and given that it's an open source thing, that's something that should be there. One of the things that we expect is with the paid plans, one of the things that we want to implement is like automatic retention policy stuff so that people can say, you know what, I want to more effectively manage, my 30 gigs of storage. Let's drop things off that are older than 2 years. Um, in the same order. I thought I did. Release storage, download bandwidth, projects members, release storage. Oh, you're right. This one is different. Okay. Good call out there. Good call out there. Let me go fix that. Why? So the without partial puts in the X full. Okay, I see. Why do we have these two are the same, so they should look the same. I'm actually not sold on the X's on the team member one. That gives me pause. Yeah. Okay. But let me go and put this one because you are right. This should go up at the top. And then projects, team members. I think this one. Oh, Hazen, great. And I apologize, especially if you're watching the recordings on YouTube. My YouTube automation broke and I was actually working on it again. I probably should just bite the bullet, and because I've got my Twitch recordings downloaded for like the last month and a half. Like I've got them local just so I don't lose anything, but I have not uploaded to YouTube because my automation broke, and in typical dev fashion, I'm fixing that rather than just manually uploading them. There, I think that feels a little better. We may want to change these icons up, but at least that gets it in and gets that in and going. Okay. Let me go back here, stage this. These ones here. Let's see here. Did I already send the last one? I did. Okay. Boom. Eesh. Uh, fixing payment plan cards. So information is in the same order. I actually saw a post, Eisen, on LinkedIn last week. It was, I don't remember how it was phrased. It was something along the lines of, if a developer can explain dependency injection, that was one of the bars between like junior and senior engineer. So you wrapped your head around it. Congratulations. You're moving up. I will say, with dependency injection, there is this nagging thing in the back of my mind that, like, why? And I know it may sound weird and a little kind of off the cuff, but we have dependency injection to just see you, JC. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. We have dependency injection for the idea of being able to inject our dependencies so that we have seams in our code, so that we can do testing. Right? Like that's the fundamental reason, because we like loose coupling, tight cohesion. Therefore, we need these dependencies, and therefore, it's like dependency injection is the logical conclusion of things higher up in the stream. And I've been constantly thinking about that and I'm sure this is the epitome of the XKCD of, you've got 3 competing standards, let's do it better. Now there's 4 competing standards. But I keep having this thing in the back of my mind of, it'd be really great if that wasn't necessary in a lot of cases, right? Like we don't want to write bad code, but I feel like I can write fairly decent maintainable code without these extra layers of abstraction. And it would be, but at least the language and the runtimes don't have a good way around that kind of thing. So it's like, yeah. Okay. So the other thing I want to do, I'm going to take this, I'm going to stash everything I have here. And then inside of this guy, because I believe my release made it all the way out. Let me just make sure. Yay, release shipped. Okay, good. Okay, so my release made it all the way out. I would like to update my my front end so that it has all the latest stuff. And I got to remember where that lives. Is it here? Where is the magical, should have written it down. That's just that. We didn't ever document that. Where is there's a config that you can use to run one of the commands that will regen all of the APIs. And I don't remember where it lives. And now I feel dumb. Let's just search OpenAPI. I think it's in there somewhere. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, being able to easily swap out different implementations. Though, Izzy, let me ask, how often has that actually worked? Right? Like, and again, that goes back to the idea of what we really want is loose coupling so that we can swap those things out, right? Because, for example, I'm using Stripe as my payment processor for this. Maybe down the road we decide, hey, I don't want to use Stripe for my payment processor. I want to use something else. And so I want my code to not, like, I don't want Stripe to like infest my code base to where doing that swap is painful, right? I want that logical separation, but I don't know. It feels like you put those layers of abstraction in, there's a lot of overhead with maintaining those layers that don't add a ton of value. And that's the part that always gets me is there's all these layers so that we can do these things, and it feels, I don't know. I've seen a couple other languages and frameworks where there's a lot less boilerplate, um, and it just, I don't know. Using abstraction doesn't mean you need to do DI. No, I completely agree. Right? Like dependency injection, I think is the culmination of getting to that point of being able to separate things out. And I came across kind of similar things because for a while I was working with an architect that was a domain-driven design wizard. He absolutely loved it, right? And regardless of where people come down on DDD, right? Like that, like there, it adds a lot of layers of abstraction, a lot. So for people who haven't seen this term before, um, like there is, where's, I just want an image. Yeah. So no, I just open image in new tab. Um, this is kind of okay, but that's not really what I was looking for. There's some more nicer images that break down all of the components of domain-driven design into their constituent parts with the aggregates and all of that stuff in there and the repositories. And it adds a lot, and its purpose is really like it starts from the idea of getting the right language, and then it builds out from there, right? And I think this is where some of the AI folks they may be onto something in the idea that domain driven design starts with getting a good handle on language and making sure that everybody's communicating properly, and okay, we're going to make things that actually match the business case, and but then it wraps in all these extra abstractions on top of it, which make it feel problematic. And maybe that's the ultimate solution is at the point where we can code at that higher level, it works really well, right? I don't know. I feel like I'm very meta at the moment. Yeah, I use DI for dynamically loading dependencies for plugins. My tools have the ability to hot load plugins. Yeah, and see, in those types of situations, like it makes really good sense, right? The abstraction has to be there because it's being spread out. It's a bit like a CI/CD agent thing. Yeah, no, and I think that makes sense. But I'm just thinking of things of like, here, I'll just drag this in, right? Like, and I'll pick on my own code because why not, right? Like, I have a very simplistic method here, and I don't have a lot of layers of abstraction, right? Like, I don't hide away my DB context because I treat the EF core DB context as an abstraction already. So let's not make it worse, right? I've got an abstraction over my Stripe service, which is admittedly a leaky abstraction because it definitely lets some of the Stripe stuff slip back all the way up to here. So, which it was one of those I made a conscious decision for it to be a leaky abstraction of yes, I could abstract this further. No, I'm not interested in maintaining that extra layer. This isn't going to be used in that many places, right? Billing is kind of isolated at present into only a handful of chunks. So it's like, you know what? If and when we swap payment processors, I understand my blast radius is a little bigger. I'm trading a future problem for a faster development now. Conscious decision, we do it, right? Yeah. Abstractions are really to help generalize things. That's sorry. I'm thinking. I think I like that. And maybe my issue is it's hard to get the abstraction layer correct because you can definitely almost like a camera's field of view, right? You can be too close, too far away, and I think that's my what I see often with the abstraction layers is they get they're hard to get right. when I teach at the university, I love when I get the opportunity to teach the section on interfaces. I love it because students, because these are generally like third and fourth year university students. They've been through a bunch of programming classes. You know, they finally get to our class and it's like, okay, they usually get warned that we're the final boss or something, and so we put them through the ringer because we want them to know what real software dev feels like. But I love asking them the question of, what is an interface? And because like most of the class, there's the handful of people who just don't like talking in class, so they won't interact at all. And you have to like it's like pulling teeth to get them to talk. But then there's the people who are willing to talk, and typically what happens is people get real nervous because they're like, the question seems too easy. And and part of it is I'm looking for people to give me the book answer of an interface, right? Like, give me the academic answer. And then the question is, when do you use one? And honestly, some of them will get to kind of the answer that you have there, Izzy, of effectively, um, they'll get down to the idea of, okay, it's when I have a common set of APIs or something of that nature is will be the answer that we get. And then usually I start asking people what a leaky abstraction is or similar, and that's usually where their knowledge breaks down. So it's very interesting. And yes, Izzy, you will see me next week. I am around all the way up until the build conference, so it'll be the week of let's see, the 22nd. I may end up skipping. I suspect I will be driving that day because the build conference doesn't get over until like I think 1 or 2 p.m. And then I've got like a 5 or 6 hour drive. So in theory, if I like jump in my car and blitz, I can make it back for regular streaming time, but I'm probably going to be dead by that point. So the 22nd is probably canceled. So here for the next 2 weeks, probably gone on the third one. But thank you for coming and hanging out as always. Okay, found my node script. That's what I was after. All of that thing, just to realize that's what I'm looking for. All right. I knew we had one of these things around here somewhere. Where did my terminal go? I need my terminal back. Terminal. What? Why is that not finding my terminal? I feel like an idiot in this app. Why? There we go. Because you need to PowerShell's fine. Thanks. That's all I need. Okay. npm open API. Oh. Thank you. Boom. Okay, and now we should have updated files with all of the stuff, and specifically that payment details bits, because that's what we're going for. Let's see, release asset type changed up a little bit. This brought in MSI deployment tool, which is kind of disappointing because we're about to whack it. So, there's that. But this is just the updated schema. So we're going to go with this. Updating schema. And commit changes and send that as well. And then that should go out and go live. And then I think I can go back and start hammering on a little bit of this stuff. And that will get us all the way there. So, payment details are fixed. Gotta go check my notepad. What else was? I made myself a list. We did the page. We added the enterprise card. We think that handles all of the stuff that I was hoping to get to tonight. This is unusual. I actually finish on time. This is exhilarating. Okay, well, let's go app.velopack.io. Let's go take a look at it and see it just work. I do want to figure out why this thing is so bloody slow. Because it feels slow. Don't like how long that is. Okay, my team's billing. Okay, so this is better. I think I just need to change these things up. Let's see. The XAML design view stopped working after DI because it needs a parameterless constructor. It's okay, I guess. I can run the app and see user controls are now a pain. I have to add them through code behind. Ah, so hang on, Heisen. I got something for you. I got something for you. There is. So real quick, maybe I should ask this question: is this WPF or is this Avalonia, Uno, Maui? What's the framework of choice? I probably got something for you. So, and actually here, I'll drop this link in the chat. WPF. Perfect. So, let me show you this guy here real quick. Actually, give me a new window. I think that one will die with Visual Studio. So, make their WPF example. There, .NET new. WPF. Boom. Okay, and then Explorer. So that repo I just linked has some .NET new templates. For example, if you want to run this command on your terminal, you can have the templates as well. But if you create a WPF app with my template, so this is the way I enjoy setting up my WPF apps. And I've started doing this on a handful of ones, is there's just some boilerplate, and I may expand this further because I've got a couple apps that I've done this on, and I try to keep track of the stuff that I tend to redo multiple times. But there's a few extra things like telemetry and similar that's like, maybe I should add in some more logging or similar. So this gives you something of this nature, right? And I believe, trying to remember if the designer played nice on this one. Let me compile it. And you're not wrong about the user controls, but I can explain that here in just a second. And then I think, yeah. So you should be able to get a working designer here, right? Even without a default constructor, right? So this should get you something that is reasonable. But I will say the designer in WPF has been notoriously finicky throughout the years. But this will get something set up. It does go through and sets up full DI, generic host builder, all the things. MVVM toolkit, material design, kind of the bare bones of the stuff that I like to kind of have built in and ready to go. See if I can find. There was a proposal. MVVM toolkit GitHub. This one. There was a proposal out here from one of the other maintainers of the material design one. Let me see if I can find it by author. It closed. Oh, why am I not seeing it? Was it an issue? Sorry, I'm gonna grab Nikolai's GitHub handle. Because there was an issue out here. I thought it was an issue. Open. Yeah. So this one here. This was a proposal that Nikolai had put together based upon some stuff that I had done with generic host and dependency injection and similar, as a way of doing user controls. And the proposal here is a way of effectively having source generators build this kind of thing out for you to be able to do the user controls, because occasionally you do want something like an iMessenger or something in your user control. Like in a lot of cases we can cheat and say, well, I'm going to push that stuff into my view model, and that's a little less of a thing. But this will get you where you can do something more akin to this, right? Because this is what you want to write in your XAML is, namespace, my user control, and call it a day. So this does give you kind of a link, and I'll send you his, send you Nikolai's example repository of how he set it up to be able to go through and do it. Which, right, like it's built around that same idea and gives a nice way of kind of getting the user controls in to have it work. So it is a little disappointing. This is one of those areas where WPF shows its age, because it came out in 2005, and so like generic host and a lot of this stuff that none of that existed when this was built. So in some ways we're shoehorning in something that is new into something old, but it's doable. Let's see. Is design time creatable property in the XAML can't be set to true after DI? Is this usually a problem for people or not? Not usually. So is design time created or creatable is generally something that is behind. So this guy here, right? So because this is behind the D namespace, which is there for design. An old tool used to be called Expression Blend, which is why this namespace still kind of pokes its head up every now and then. This is something that is only expected to be consumed by a designer. So it's not actually something that it's expected to affect the app at runtime, which is why you see this MC ignore namespace D. So it's specifically telling the XAML compiler, hey, this is something you don't touch, right? Like, we don't need this. This is just here for designers. Hands off. The is design time creatable just tells the designer, hey, when you're looking to populate your design surface, use the metadata of this type, but don't try to call its constructor, right? So is design time creatable false is really just to say, hey, this thing doesn't have a constructor that you can call. Hands off. Use the metadata, right? You can get the type of the view model, make sure that you validate like the binding paths and those types of things, so that the designer can clearly show you if you've typoed something, right? Because if I do something like that, I now get the little bars because it says, hey, hang on, I don't find that in this type, right? It hasn't instantiated the type, but it still can look at the type and say, I know what properties you have, all that kind of thing off. So generally, it's not a huge issue for people. But in like the setup for my template, you will see that it intentionally sets it this way because my things aren't likely to have default constructors in most cases. Like, it's kind of unusual to have a data context that has a default constructor unless it's like a POCO and I'm inside of like a data template or similar. So if that helps. Yeah. Are you trying to set it at in like the code behind or similar? It's a little unusual to need access to this like design time data context from code behind, because it really is only there to support the designer. Really, like, you can whack all of this stuff, and like, aside from screwing up your designer, it's not going to make a difference at all. Because the other thing that you can do, right, is you can come down here, like on this click me button, you can do something like d colon content, which is kind of a fun thing. Chris, welcome and thank you for bringing friends. You are awesome. I'm on a detour at the moment. We're answering some WPF questions. Hopefully you had a good stream. I was secretly lurking in your chat earlier when you were, well, you had been talking about Salesforce and Sokal and ADAC and all kinds of stuff, and it was giving me flashbacks to prior jobs, and I was like, I refuse to admit that I've done Salesforce stuff. It was not a good experience. I did not like it. Did not like it. It was horrible. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, designer used to show me data too because my view model constructors were parameters. Now they aren't. That's so that is interesting. Like it would show you. So your designer will show you data because if you don't have is design time, like if this guy is true, the designer is actually invoking your constructor, and then if your properties actually have data in them, like your constructor sets a bunch of stuff, this is certainly possible. The other thing that you can do inside of here is you can actually go for the what is the API for this? Now you're gonna make me try to think of this off the top of my head. You can actually get yourself an extra an overloaded constructor. So let's imagine we do something of this nature, right? Where we have like iMessenger. Right, so something of that nature. If what is it? Is I don't remember that. Magical Googles. WPF check is design time in code behind. I don't remember what the designer properties. That's not the. No, that requires a DI. Nope. 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 Where is the... There is a property you can access that is static and on a static class and that has all of the stuff. What is it called? Yeah, what is it? No, there is a... Is it on the base already? No. Where is this? There is a it is not this. There is a static property that is hanging out in there, and yeah, this is getting Mr. X designer properties is in design mode. Yeah, that's what I'm finding, but maybe I'm blanking on this. There was the problem with it is it requires a dependency object to be fed in to know if you're in design mode, and am I making this up? Is it here? There is a static there is a static property for checking of it, but effectively one of the workarounds that I've done before is you can set up your default constructor to check if it's in design mode. If it's in design mode, populate it with whatever kind of fake data you want to play with. And if you're not in design mode, just throw. Because the dirty secret is if you register this in the DI container, the DI container is greedy. It will evaluate your constructors from most parameters to least parameters. And so it's going to try to go after this constructor. So the DI container is never going to try to hit this. And so you kind of leave your default constructor there for your designer and let the DI container go after the overloaded constructor, which makes it a little bit nicer for what it's worth. Right? So that gets you all the way into there. That's gonna bother me now that I don't have this, so I'm gonna make a note for myself because I want to go find that. Then more importantly, I may go add it to my template just so that can you pass application current? Application current, I don't think derives from dependency object, but we'll look in a second. But you could certainly do current main window because your main window will be. Application is a dispatcher. No, it is not a dependency object. So application, no, but you can go application current main window and get yourself there. The only thing to watch out for there is that main window is null before your main window is shown. So you just, if you're doing it inside of like your app.xaml or something, people often forget that this can return null before app.run is called, and this returns null before your first window is shown. So it's they both can return null, but most of the time, once somebody's app is actually started, yeah, they're set and fixed, and you're good to go. Yeah. Okay. See here. Added is in design mode. Got that. Enterprise card. That is going to bother me. I'm going to have to go through and check that now. It's going to bother me a great deal. Okay. I wanted to check these guys here of why, because in this case where there is none, it's probably worth hiding it. Is one instance of weak reference manager enough for the entire app? I don't see any slowdowns. Yeah. In general, you're going to have only a single instance of one of the messengers because they operate on a pub submodel, and so it's kind of rare to need more than one instance. And the weak reference is generally the one you want to go with because it won't accidentally keep things alive. ChatGPT says you can pass in new dependency object. That's probably true. Yeah, and you'll get away with it as long as it's in a constructor that's only invoked by the designer. You will get an interesting exception, and this is where it kind of gets weird because new dependency object will throw if it's invoked from a non-UI thread. Because dependency object is the root of all base UI objects. And so it wants an STA thread, a UI thread. So it's rare that ever comes up to bite you. But if people just kind of blindly do that pattern inside of, say, a C# object that they're going to use as a view model in, say, a list, and they're doing it in an asynchronous call or similar, it can then bite them on accident. You get into this weird situation where it's like, well, it should throw if it's not in design mode. It's like, well, but you're actually throwing on the parameter that you're passing into the method to check if you're in design mode, so you never get to the actual throw that you want. You get some sort of cross-thread exception instead. Yeah, okay, so I think I want to change this guy up because when this guy now is coming back, there you are. Here you are. Refresh. I want to just look at this because this guy here should come back now with one of these things. There's the payments. Yeah, so he's coming back with effectively empty because this is a custom one. Yeah, you can first check if you're an STA thread. No, that is true, and that's... You're going to make me go look. Okay. Actually, you know what? Okay. 1 second. We're going to do this because I need to open something that is not open source. Let me look because I am very confident I have used this property on another project. So I just need to look at it real quick. I distinctly remember there being one, and because I got into a debate with a colleague about it at one point, and I was proven the fool. And so it's remarkable about how often when you make when your colleague proves that you're the idiot, how much that actually is a good learning opportunity, and then it's stuck in your head. Okay, so let me look. Where are you? Oh. Oh, did we implement it ourselves? Oh, we may have implemented it ourselves. Sorry, looking. This may be something. Look at that. We implemented it ourselves. That's why I was convinced there was a static property. Ha! Yeah. 1 second. Let me go pull the APIs because I can't show that project, but I can certainly show a different one that is open source. So that is why. Okay, so we did something bad and horrible, and I'm both impressed and terrified all at the same time. Sorry, 1 second. I just got to set this up. So, uh, that I might need to add something like this to my templates. And let's see here. And because it is ending up going through that a very similar API call. But there was one last kind of cheap trick that got abused. And okay, so let's see, I will go here. Okay, so here is effectively what my other project had done is something very akin to this. So there's your static property is in design mode, which is why I was convinced it existed. But the actual implementation here is still going after that same dependency property, but rather than needing to new up a new dependency object and potentially hit your the threading issues, it pulls the property descriptor for it and grabs the default value. Because the default value will flip to true or false depending on whether you're in the design or not. So it saves you on the instantiation of a dependency object for a worthless Boolean check. And then, frankly, we probably could have gone a step further. And I mean, I guess this is only ever going to evaluate once because it's a getter and then it's cached. So it ends up doing that. The other thing you'll note is the namespace is kind of wacky. And this gets even more fun, right? Because in our other project, we effectively have something akin to the following. Let's see. Using include. Let's see. Static true. So now, due to the virtues of magic, I can come over here And I can go if is in design mode, unless I'm an idiot. My static needs this on the end of it. And then this magically resolves. Yeah, that was the second suggestion of ChatGPT. See, the AI is slowly learning. Slowly learning. But yeah, so the dirty trick, and I can translate this back into C#, is my other project did this and not even in the CS project. This is in a directory build props. So it applies to all the projects, which is even more exciting, right? But if you do a using static, right? So if I comment this out, right, I can go show it in C#. Right, so if you do a using static, it now means all static members of this class are available in here as though this thing was referenced. So now this thing just magically shows up, which is why I was convinced it was on my view model base or something similar, right? It just, no, it's because we did this and we made it look like it was part of our view model base by not making it look like it was part of our view model base, and then I confused myself. So, but I may need to go and add this in because this is a reasonably useful thing to have access to. And at least in my .NET templates, I don't mind adding this kind of thing. I try to balance how much, because at the end of the day, if you don't like it, just delete the file. You're done. But in the cases where you need it, it can be really helpful. Because then you don't have to go look this stuff up. That would potentially make a lot of sense, because it would give the because then I could actually, I guess, update my sample rather than is design time creatable false. I could make this true, and then actually show those two things there as well, right? That was the other thing I was going to show down here too, right? Is this thing has, like, if I do d:content, right? You'll see it shows click me. But if I do just content, foo, right? So in my designer, it's going to show click me, but when I launch this, it's actually going to show foo, because you can actually do design time data on anything. So you can do it as a data source. You can do design time properties. It's just a way of saying, I want to look at this in the designer. We often abuse this to test, like, string wrapping or similar, right? So the app launches and my app button is now foo, rather than it being something slightly more interesting. Right? So it comes in and goes, oh, okay, great. But when I'm in the designer, I want the designer to show click me instead. Right? So cheap tricks there just to go through and do it. Honestly, I tend to only use the designer in very limited circumstances. I really don't like it that much. Only because the designer shows what might be at runtime, and I'd rather just launch the app and see what is. It does mean that you have to rely on hot reload and the hot mess that can be at times, but it works. It works a solid 60 to 70% of the time, and then you restart your app. And so it's like, I kind of like that better, because then I'm seeing the actual running app. But there are times where the feedback loop, and this is where web dev does have an advantage over Windows devs, is the feedback loop on web dev is so bloody fast. It's like, oh, I'm going to change this. Oof, there it is, and it's just going. That's the promise of hot reload, is to make Windows dev as good as that. It just has not delivered. It's better than nothing, and I would be very unhappy if they took it away, but it is not on par with web development, which is sad. Speaking of web development, look, billing information. Yay, billing information. So I think, though, payment method and next payment, we should probably just hide. Like this thing here, I think we hide if next bill amount is null. And payment method, I think we hide if payment card is null. So I think I just want to go through and get rid of that Oh, thank you for the following. Hylineg. Hylineg. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. You're gonna note tonight I am bouncing all over the place. So we did some Web API, WPF, some React, and if I can remember where I'm going. Okay. So got to remember my way around this place. Let's see here. So I think that is in here, right? I think is where I'm at. Oh, I'm looking at the actual running app, aren't I? Yeah, I'm looking at the running app, not the. There's localhost. That is acting like my API is down. Let's just relaunch that before I do something stupid like break it. Oh, and my localhost is broken because it is pointed at prod. This will redirect it back. Yeah, at some point I need to clean this up, but I prefer to run all local and very rarely, whereas my partner likes to run the front end and just point it at the dev environment so that he doesn't have to stand up any infrastructure locally. Let's see, this one. I really wish there was a better way to order this. Like, I like the fact that there's pretty icons with different colors, but I'm always like, which one is which? Okay. This should, there we go. Okay. So my team billing, right? And I think what would be ideal is if I had set myself up in a similar state as the other one so that I am on a custom plan. I think we can do this easily enough. I think I have a database connection already set to go. I think. If not, we'll go and steal it. Because that is one of the other nice parts about .NET Aspire is we can come into like the API and we can, where's the, if we come down here, we will find the connection string for our database. No one panic. This is 127001. So unless you are sitting on my computer, you're not getting to this database. And don't worry, this password is auto-generated. It will change every launch. Or at least every time I recycle my database. So if we need to, there's my connection string. Okay. I don't know what that is connecting to because it's clearly lost its mind. Let's see, connect to database. SQL Server, I think we can go localhost, and then authentication, SQL Server, username, SA, password is, insert connection string password here. Let's see here, and then probably need to feed it the right port because I imagine it is going to be lost and confused without that. And then mandatory true, select database name. Test connection, I guess. Let's start there. Make sure it can actually get itself all the way in. Anything else over here that I need to know about? There we go. That's what I want. Initial catalog is database. Got it. Thank you. Oh, wrong Visual Studio. This one. Yeah. So going there, going there. Test connection. That doesn't work. I'm going to switch this back. I wonder if localhost is just failing to resolve. It's interesting that there's a comma there. I don't recall seeing that, but that must be the certificate issue is by an authority that is not trusted. Trust server certificate. Don't use Windows authentication. Stop it. There we go. Just let me into my database, darn it. It's my database. Okay. After a little pain and suffering. Let's see here. So I want this guy. Show table data, I believe. There's that. And then I would like to set it to a custom plan. So that I could be in the same state as my other one. If we go here and we go with subscription plan, I need the magical GUID for custom, which as you can see is very cleverly 42, 42, 42, 42, 42. Okay, that goes there. And now if I come back to here, and I go billing, and I go refresh. Did it not commit the change? Add database windows like thing, but success pop-up triggered. Then it's dark again. Yeah. This UI section of Visual Studio has not received as much love as others. It is we'll say lacking. Just I do love how that is there. Table data. Is it committed? It's committed. That's there. It's consistent with Windows in its inconsistency. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay, there we go. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so now we're in the same state locally that we are out in the environment, and now we fix. All right, now we fix. Okay, so we are underneath team/billing, and really what I want to do is just find that payment method. Okay, so this is, let's see, Teams billing page. Okay, so we have the payment status, the quotas, and let's see, monitor your current one. What I'm really looking for is where payment next bill amount. This is where I kind of expected it to plan details card. I think that's what we're looking at, isn't it? Payment method, next payment. I think that's right. Payment method, next payment. Yeah. And so the issue here is I would like to turn these things off because it's good about handling payment card, but I think I want to actually bring this up a level. I think if payment card isn't set, I think I want to hide this whole chunk. Finally, a stack I understand. Well, I will say, React is not my day-to-day, so if I seem like I'm muddling my way through, feel free to correct me. Because I am good enough to be dangerous, and that's about as far as I'm willing to commit. Let's see. So let's do payment card here, because if payment card is null, I think I want to hide the entire box is the game plan. So so I guess what we could just do is this. We come down here, right? And then we just do I think I probably still want the empty box in there. And something akin to that. Interesting. Okay. So let's see here. Yes, because in this situation, yes. I think the only thing I want to see is view past invoices. I don't want any of the other stuff. And so then for this one, it's going to be the same thing. If if next bill, because I don't want to get rid of the view past invoices link, because that's actually useful um, to people if they've like if they've signed up for a subscription, then canceled it, then came back later, signed up, then canceled it. Like, I want them to still be able to get back and view all of those older invoices. But if you don't have a next bill coming, that means that Stripe doesn't think it needs to bill you next month, which means you've probably canceled. I hope. Otherwise, I don't know how else to get into this state. And actually, though, I think this gets down to it is an interesting problem here because this thing is dynamically loading payment card and then swapping this out once it's been loaded. So now I've got an awkward problem in that I'm hiding the whole thing now. I don't know if I like that experience because it's almost nicer to see the, because that skeleton's this guy right here, which it's nice to say, hey, loading, that kind of thing. But now it's weird because I've now effectively removed the use case for this. Trying to decide then what I expect to see. Because this expects to be getting back a payment card. And when there is none, there's nothing to show. You know what? We're going to hide it. And I'm going to ask Kalen what he thinks. He's got an eye for UI. I'll ask him for his feedback because it feels wrong to leave it sitting like that, but and actually, wait a minute, what's being passed in here? Maybe what we should do is we should just have the skeleton returned when payment is null, but if payment card isn't, that might be better. Okay, that makes me feel more warm and fuzzy. So we're gonna do that there, come down to here, right? And then that becomes here, and then something akin to that. And then, what have I done wrong? Let's see here. Payment, one parent element. Oh, because right. Right. This guy here. Let's go like this for just a second. Just to get that thing to stop yelling at me. And then, but why does this thing not realize that there is only a single parent? Surround with, oh, right. Thank you. I forgot about this. So it's that. Yeah? Oh, no, it's inside. Inside. That way, because it wants only a single parent as the top level. It's not referring to the parent outside of the ternary. It's referring to the elements inside of it. This entire expression can only have a single parent. Right. Okay. Thank you. See, like I said, I know this stack just well enough to be dangerous, not well enough to be efficient. Do I want an empty box here? I don't know that I do. I don't know that I do. Okay, so that gets me to there. So because I kind of like the idea of you're doing great, ternary wizard. I do. So, like, I feel like I have decent knowledge of C sharp, and so I will say I get myself into the most trouble when something feels C sharpy, and I shouldn't do it C sharpy. Um, and then I get bit all left and right. I think though what I want to go through, and I think I want to pull these skeletons out. Like this is still valid here. We know that next bill has to be set in order to get into here. And I don't think this skeleton is actually going to make any sense at all. But I wonder why these were different widths. But this guy here goes like that because we only want to display this if we actually get a billing amount. That makes sense to me. And then what I think I want to do is I want to set the skeleton for the little loading bar outside when there's no payment. I think that's the kicker, right? So not payment, something like that. That is not the right one. Bad Copilot. You missed by a mile. And then I think this goes away because payment card has to be set. So we always fall into the true case. So this else case goes away and we're just left with this. I think. Yeah, that gets me to there. That goes there. I do wonder if there should be something else here. Feels like there should be something else here. I don't know. I don't know what to put there though. Okay. And then the view past invoices, land details card. That thing, everything floats to the top. I guess if I recall correctly, you could return null instead of an empty fragment. Let's see. If there's nothing else, just do a double ampersand. Oh, I see. Yeah. Because we can do the like this. Yep. You can get away with that. So this is again a good example of because it's not C Sharpie, I don't think about this option. Because we definitely don't do this in C Sharp. Okay, so but I think that cleans up the custom plan one. And this is really one of those situations. Yeah, so you do you. No, this is part of me trying to learn what is, I don't know, customary, because every language and framework, there's like these, like, there's a lot of things you can do in C Sharp and a lot of things you just shouldn't, right? Like, there's one guy from Microsoft who's been putting together this, I think he calls it everyday C Sharp, which is the normal way to do things, right? Yeah, you can do whatever you want, but it's like, this is what normal is. So I always try to figure out what that normal is because, one, it helps. Plus, if you're using Copilot, like the Copilot likes you a lot better if you write normal. Okay, so we're gonna send that. Let's see here. This guy here. Let's see. hiding empty elements when a user is on.
Move my big head to the other side.
Oh wait, why am I doing this? Copilot, and by Copilot I mean Gemini. Tutu improves building page loading experience, enhances the building page by displaying skeletons. Yeah, no. Thanks. Okay, send it.
Let's see. Just customary that fragments are generally used. If you do not want a parent node, but you need to next multiple nodes, whereas if you need an empty node or no node at all, you could just return null.
Ah, okay. Good to know. Good to know. Okay. I think though that gets me into here. That gets me past. Can I create team? Can I do this? I don't know if I'm going to be. It was successfully created. Great. Okay, so that worked, and it should block me if I try to do another team, because you are only allowed to be in one free team at a time. So let's just make sure. Ooh. Why did it let that through? Can I just keep abusing this? This feels like a... Why is that letting it through? Okay, now we got to go look, because I thought we had a rule around this. Boom. List team, Laps, create team. Oh, it's not on the team. I bet you it's on the project. Bet you it's at the project level where it gets enforced. Let you. Oh, that's right. We couldn't enforce. That's right. That's right. We enforce it at the project level. We can't enforce the limitation on teams because a team. Let me see. Let's see if I can explain this properly. So inside of Velopack Flow, a team contains projects. Projects contain channels. Channels contain releases. Right? And a release may have a lot of different artifacts inside of it. And a channel could be like alpha, beta, prod, or a channel could be like Windows, Mac. Right? It's just they are two separate streams of artifacts, and for whatever reason, you need two separate streams of artifacts. Huzzah. But teams are where the billing subscription is linked to a team, and if we banned you from making infinite teams, you would have no way of, if you wanted to say, hey, I want to make a new team and attach a billing subscription to it, you have to be able to make the team first and then attach the bill to it. So we allow the team to go through, but we block the number of projects that you can have outside of it. That's right. Okay. Yeah, I remember how this worked. Boo. Boo. Right. So I can create a project here. Right. So this exists in team or in team test. If I go here and I go here and I go projects and I go create project, boo2, boo2, create project. There we go. So it is appropriately blocked. It's just at the project level, you can only create projects. I like the color scheme you went with this. Oh, thank you. I had no, well, I shouldn't say I had no design input. My partner actually did the lion's share of the front end UI work. So Kaylin gets credit for that. But yeah, it is very nice. And I will say, like, it wasn't like he did it in a vacuum. Like there was a designer that had some input, and then he absolutely came to me for feedback and whatnot. But yeah, he gets the credit for it. And there's this little, I don't know if people have noticed the it's animated up here. It's just so it's just pretty. It kind of gives you that nice little running, flowing feel. Like it just feels nice. So okay, That makes
Me feel much better.
Yeah, it's one of those little things. I think Kalen messaged me when he did it, and I think his words were, "I promise I'm doing important stuff too." Which I was like, "That's it's fine, dude. Like, it's I understand. We are developers. We get caught up in those types of things, like ooh, like and like this whole project. Like we're building a product whose target audience is other developers, and that's almost the most terrifying audience to build things for because they're likely to do weird crap. They they have a very high bar and they will complain about everything. Like that is a developer. I would know because I'm like that. So like that's kind of the way it goes. Okay. Well, the good news is I think
That finishes my laundry list, at least for tonight.
check. Yep. Mountain Dew's empty.
So that
Probably signals that is
a good ending place.
I think so. I think that is probably a good spot. Okay, so a few things for all the new people who jumped in. Microsoft Build is coming up later this month.
And if people are, oh, thank you, Sizzler, I appreciate it.
If people are interested, I recommend people at least sign it. Like
The in-person tickets are expensive. Don't quote me. I think they're like
2,200
something. Like they aren't cheap.
Um, the I was to say, I guess we could look. I guess they aren't as bad. 1,500 for the in person experience, but the digital online one is free. So I usually tell people it is worth signing up just so you get access to all of because nearly all of the sessions are going to be either live streamed or recorded, and so it's worth getting access to all of those if there is anything here that you are interested in. For people unfamiliar, Microsoft Build is one of Microsoft's two big conferences that they do every year, with the Build conference being slightly more developer focused. The other one is Ignite, which is slightly more IT focused, but I mean, those lines are blurry, so you get a little bit of both at each. But this one tends to be a little bit more on the developer side of the fence. So, and more importantly, if you happen to go to Seattle, I will be there as well. You can come like say hi in person. And if anybody wants to know where to find me in the maps, this little expert meetup area, I will be about there. I'll probably be in that green box for uh so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I will probably be in that box post lunchtime through the end of the day. So you will find me in that vicinity. And if you think Velopack is cool, hit me up because I've got stickers. And I would happily share stickers with people. So, didn't my other thing not make it out yet? Or did I not push it? I did push it. Did it not make it all the way out to the I wonder if it hasn't pushed all the way yet. Might have to go look. Because I would have expected that to go already. But I might have to go check our pipeline. The other one went, so it should be there. Oh. Well, look at that. Turns out if it doesn't build and deploy, no worky. Oh. Just got, like, I have to say, I love NPM warning messages. Again, this is when you build things for developers, you get to do fun stuff like this. Okay. So I gotta rev some deprecated packages. I do not have enough Mountain Dew in my system to do that tonight, though. So, but yes, so Build Conference is coming up. And then if people are at all interested in C Sharp, I am giving a talk at the Spokane .NET user group. This will be streamed online. So if you sign up, you will get the Teams link as well. Secretly, if you want, it'll also end up on Intellitek's YouTube like a week after this thing goes live. So if you are unable to make it or you want to catch a recording, it should be on the YouTube within, a week. And I think they usually aim to have it even sooner than that. But this is going to be going through the history of C Sharp. I intend to go from C Sharp version 1 to C Sharp 14, which releases in November. So that'll be fun. I'm going to try to do future and past, which I think will be rather exciting. So,
Okay, I think with that,
I'm fading fast.
wish my Mountain Dew wasn't so empty. But thank you everyone for coming and dropping in. If you came in with Chris, he is awesome. For people who don't know Chris, you should go and follow him. He streams, I think, 5 days a week, and bounces around. Does a lot of web dev related stuff, but he is I'm trying to remember his title. He is the herder of the Get Kraken ambassadors. So he works for Get Kraken and is their dev advocate, I think might be the right term. I don't know exactly what his title is. It's something like that. He herds all of the Get Kraken ambassadors around, so he's forced to put up with me every so often. But with that, as always, thank you everyone for coming and hanging out. Happy coding. See y'all next time.